teams of the past used to have a situation where either they were drafted or they were traded by the front office. Now, LeBron James could just sit down now in his house and be like, oh, who can I play with? Okay, who can I play with? Kevin Durant. Oh, I don't want to be here anymore. Trade me here. Like, the whole thing is just so abstract and no passion, no soul in it. Like, it's so bland. It's so bland. Like, I just don't understand how anybody enjoys. Could Larry Bird have a case for being the GOAT? Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today, I'll be checking out a video that is going to make a case for Larry Bird being the GOAT. Anyway guys, do all that good stuff that YouTube likes. Subscribe, like, I really appreciate it. Let's get right into the video.
Basketball is special. The size of the court and the lack of pads or helmets give fans the most intimate experience of a team sport that exists. And because of the different styles that basketball allows for, players develop their own distinct identities and signature styles through their creativity, flair, and athleticism. And although no player succeeds alone, the scoring volume and two-way nature of the sport give individual stars a nearly unprecedented amount of control over the flow and outcome of a game. For this reason, players are constantly compared to their peers and to the legends of the past in order to answer the most hotly contested question in the sport: who's the greatest to ever do it? For many, the question is redundant. They believe in only one right answer, their answer. Others might have their own personal stance, but acknowledge one or two alternatives. But I believe that there's much more nuance to the question of greatness and more answers to it than you might think.
By the way, before they get into this video, like I told you guys, I checked Larry Bird's stats during his prime, his real prime. I'm not talking about the one that he had after he came back from the injury. I'm talking about those 9 years from his rookie season. Not necessarily from his rookie season, but let me say after the second year or third year until like 9 years after that or so, 8 years after that. That guy was incredible, man. That guy was absolutely incredible. Sometimes I feel he's underrated at this point with those kind of stats that he had. Seriously. And sometimes I also think of how his stats would have been if he played in today's game, like with the whole open lanes, so many open lanes now. The lanes are so open now, like it's ridiculous. And it's almost something that sometimes I feel like I wish Kobe was playing in this period. And I wouldn't be surprised if Larry Bird would have been killing it in this period. Like the lanes are so open. No big body in the center position. They're trying to block you. Nothing. People are just driving to the basket. Like, there's just no soul in the game. I don't know.
By my count, there are 8 players in NBA history that have a substantial claim as the GOAT. It's a subjective thing though. I can't give you a definitive answer.
Better have Kobe. You better have Kobe.
All I can do is make the argument. So today, I'll be making the case for Larry Bird as the greatest basketball player of all time.
Damn. Let's see.
When it comes to basketball, Larry Bird is the smartest, clutchest player to ever play the game.
Wow, okay.
Now, if you don't think that Larry Bird is the greatest basketball player of all time, you probably hate that I just said that. Those are the kind of talking head sport cliches that surely impact the game but are impossible to empirically measure. Normally, I'd agree with you, but I think that when you talk about Larry Bird, you see those intangibles become real, palpable results.
I have to say that was a very bold statement. I know Larry Bird fans may not see it that way, but that was a very bold statement. Clutches, I mean, the most clutch, and what other word did he use there? That was very bold by him. So let me see. For him to make that kind of bold statement, that means he has a very good reason for that. So let's check it out.
I wouldn't have said it if I didn't believe it. When Larry Bird was drafted by the Boston Celtics in 1978, the NBA needed saving. Attendance was in the toilet, the league had few marketable stars, cocaine addiction had several players in its grasp, and most damning of all, playoff games were being tape delayed. Playoff games at the highest level of basketball were being put in the back seat for black and white movies and network reruns.
That is crazy though.
But rather than join the Celtics after being taken 3rd overall, Larry Bird decided to return for his final year at Indiana State, a decision that would prove to be one of the most important in the history of the sport. Bird's final year saw the Sycamores tear through college basketball, going 33-0 before the national championship game. Bird, already claimed by the NBA's most historic and prestigious franchise, had established himself as the generational talent who would inherit the mantle of pro basketball. Indiana State's opponent in the national championship was Michigan State, captained by the immortal Earvin Magic Johnson. The Sycamores lost the championship to the more talented Spartans in the highest-rated game in the history of basketball at any level.
Wait. Their rivalry started from college. Okay, yeah, yes. There is this series that came out recently. Is it recently? I think it's over a year now, I think. That's series that was about Magic Johnson. I think Larry Bird was featured a lot in that. Okay. I saw some part of it, and I think I saw a part that they were talking about the fact that they had some kind of rivalry, but I didn't think it was that serious. I thought it was just like, okay, maybe they were like the 2 best players coming out of college or something. I didn't think it was that serious. Like they actually had a rivalry in college basketball. Okay, let me see.
Still to this day. The stage had been set. The next decade of basketball would be defined by the rivalry between the white hick from French Lick and his Boston Celtics and the black Magic and his Showtime Lakers. The rivalry between Bird and Johnson is entwined into the fabric of the NBA and is worthy of 100 documentaries. In this video, though, we're going to be looking at Bird's claim of supremacy. Here's Bird's basketball resume.
Incredible.
His 3 championships come with perhaps the highest collective degree of difficulty of any player's championships. His 3 MVPs came consecutively, making him only the 3rd player to accomplish the feat, along with Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain. His 2 Finals MVPs are misleading. He was absolutely the best player on the '81 Celtics, but he was only a sophomore, and his 15 points per game in the finals gave the media an excuse to exact a little vengeance on a legendarily difficult interview. His All-Star and first-team selections also come with...
To be fair, 15 points per game for the finals. Like, I don't really think that is finals MVP worthy. Now, I've not seen the other stats of all the other players in the team, so you guys can help me down in the comments. But I think that stats alone does not really tell a very great story for Larry Bird, to be honest.
Caveat that Bird only played for 13 seasons and missed all but 6 games of the '89 season following surgeries on both feet.
Okay.
I can hear you already. A 13-year career, and this guy is supposed to be the GOAT? What color of paint are you huffing, Clayton? Green, obviously. But hear me out. Yeah, Bird's career lasted about 2/3 as long as it should have. But what he did in that time was so impressive and so substantial that every basketball fan acknowledges that he's in the conversation as the greatest ever. Doesn't it matter that those 13 years saved professional basketball, delivered a disproportionate amount of memorable moments, defined the golden age of the league, and produced a career by which all other forwards, before or since, are measured? Bird squeezed every drop of talent out in those 13 years and made it seem more like 30. He didn't just leave his fingerprints on the game. He left so much of his DNA in the sport that it needed a cigarette afterwards. There's something to be said about the candle that lasts half as long but burns twice as bright. Those 3 MVP years stack up with any other run by any other player.
Let me see. Okay. Guys, I have bad eyes, so and my laptop is a bit far from me. Field goal percentage, okay. Points, 26 points. Okay. Yeah, that's what I saw. Incredible stats.
I will put an A+ Larry Bird season up against anyone's. What does an A+ Larry Bird season look like? A full box score, a blowout win, a nearly undefeated record at home, and a play style that could only be described one way: white. Larry Bird isn't just a white basketball player, he's the white basketball player. To describe Larry Bird's game is to thumb through the Hoops dictionary and pick out every cliche about white.
What does it mean by white? Okay, is it like, I don't want to sound racist. I know there's this movie that they made in the 90s. It said white men can't jump, something like that. So is that what he's trying to say? I think the US is just so obsessed about race, in my opinion, though. That's just what I feel about the situation.
To describe Larry Bird's game is to thumb through the Hoops dictionary and pick out every cliche about white players. Unathletic, great shooter, good fundamentals, the whole thing.
Yeah.
The archetype of a white basketball player is Larry Bird, with one exception. He had an unparalleled understanding of the game of basketball, both as a physical contest and as a mental competition. His basketball IQ infected everything he did and catapulted his career into legend. Bird was a complete player. Jerry West called him nearly as perfect as you can get. He was the league's first great marksman. He could contort his body to shoot from anywhere on the court, regardless of the level of defense. He pioneered the art of the dagger 3 and was the founding member of the 50-40-90 club. At 6'9", Bird's understanding of angles and coordination led to a higher rebounding average than Patrick Ewing, and it made him an impressively adept finisher in his younger years. In '86, Bird dropped 47 points on the Blazers, playing the majority of the game left-handed. His lack of quick lateral movement meant that Bird didn't do much when it came to slapping the floor and picking up the opposing point guard, but his size and omniscience gave him the ability to body similarly sized players, read defenses like a free safety, and pick off passing lanes with ease. His passing was transcendent, and I'll highlight it later. IQ. And of course you need to know that Larry Bird was a tough effort. He had a superhuman motor and dove for loose balls like a beagle at the park. He was a willing participant in his share of fights, often precipitated by his league-renowned trash talk.
Larry Bird told Robert Reedy the other day that he should have stayed in preaching. That was funny. He had 50 points. I was guarding in my rookie year. He looked at me and he goes, "You can't stop me."
Yeah, guys, you guys have been telling me to watch the trash talk, like Larry Bird could trash talk or something like that. I don't know whether that is the video that I saw is a particular video you guys are talking about, but you guys can help me down in the comments with the link of the particular video you want me to watch.
Me and he goes, "You can't stop me." And I looked at him and I said, "Gosh, boy, you're so confident." He proceeded to score like 10 straight points on me. The coach took me out the game. He walks by and he's laughing at me.
He was a basketball genius.
What the hell?
He'd be a step ahead.
Oh, that was crazy. So after the coach took him out, Larry Bird was not looking at him. I can't wait to watch that trash talk video. Seriously, I'm going to be with my alcohol that day. I'll be like having some fun.
Ahead. Play the game like a chess game.
I'd much rather guard Michael Jordan than Larry Bird because you have to play the game as a thinker when you're playing him. You have to get inside his mind.
If you put all of us in a room, you know, Magic, Jordan, myself, and Bird probably be the guy who walks out of the room at the end of the day.
Wow.
Did you notice something during those testimonies? Those are some of the best basketball players of all time, and they all sing Bird's praises like they were former assassins who toe-to-toe with John Wick and they're just happy to be alive. Bird excelled during one of the most talent-rich periods in league history. The abridged list of his basketball rivals goes like this: Dr. J and Moses Malone on the Philadelphia 76ers, Sidney Moncrief on the Milwaukee Bucks, Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer and the Bad Boy Pistons, Dominique Wilkins on the Atlanta Hawks, Bernard King on the New York Knicks, Michael Jordan on the Chicago Bulls, Hakeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson on the Houston Rockets,
Crazy.
And of course, Magic Johnson,
Showtime
James Worthy,
Lentas.
and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the Los Angeles Lakers. All right.
If that was LeBron, he would have been trying to team up with one of these people.
There's no point avoiding it any longer. We have to look at Magic versus Larry. If you have Magic over Larry, it's because he has 5 rings to Larry's 3, had a peak that lasted about 2 or 3 years longer than Larry's, and had a 2-1 record against Bird's Celtics in the finals. Perfectly legitimate, completely respectable arguments. But in the interest of making Bird's case, allow me to retort. For nearly the entire decade of the 1980s, the Eastern Conference was irrefutably the more competitive conference between the two. Considering the competition, for Bird to have made 5 finals appearances is just as impressive as Magic's 9. As for the head-to-head record responsible for—
That's the thing with the NBA. Like, a lot of times people don't put context to all these arguments. It's almost like when people talk about LeBron and his 7 straight finals or whatever. I mean, the East was like, it was called the Liston Conference for a reason. Like, the guy was just having cakewalks to the final, and people are putting that as part of some kind of criteria of goods. That is ridiculous.
For Magic's 2 extra titles, he had more help. Seriously, the Celtics' Big Three and the Lakers' Big Three get compared all the time historically as if they were of equal caliber,
it
but
wasn't really
weren't
equal,
Magic's
to be
accomplices
honest.
just a step above Bird's? No disrespect at all to Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish, but Kareem was the alpha dog on the 71 Bucks and was the best player for at least 2 of the Lakers' 5 titles. James Worthy was the #1 pick out of UNC after winning a championship as the best player on a team that had Michael Jordan on it. Throw in the fact that Magic got to be coached by Pat Riley, one of the most brilliant minds in basketball history, and you could say that the Magic Bird argument comes down to one thing: luck. So if their careers come down to luck, the question just becomes who you would rather take. Now, I'm not making this video to tell you why you shouldn't take Magic. I'm making this video to tell you why you should take Bird. Not just over Magic, but over everybody. One thing that helps him is the fact that his play would translate perfectly into the league today.
Yeah,
a
very
6'9"
well.
sharpshooting forward
Crazy.
with eyes in the back of his head who averaged double-digit rebounds in an era against most.
I mean, every time I see Luka Doncic, like every time I watch him, and I've seen comparing it with Bird's highlights, like and you see Doncic out here having fun, oppressing the league like they're not even there. Though you cannot defend, though, but that's a different topic entirely. You start imagining how Bird would have been if he was playing in this era. Seriously, like it's ridiculous. And the NBA now is just so Swiss cheese. Like, I just wish a lot of players that I loved in the past, like my man Kobe and some other people, were able to played in a league like this. Like every time I watch any NBA game, it's so Swiss cheese right now. Like nobody's are scoring 40 points. People that are not even like that great, that good, scoring 40 points. So and you have a 38-year-old LeBron out here averaging 30 points. Like, and I'm not saying that, like, let's be real here. If LeBron was playing in the 2000s or the 90s, he wouldn't be averaging 30 points at 38. Let's be real. I know LeBron fans will not want to hear this, but let's be real. And I was just watching the dunk contest the day before yesterday, and I was like looking at the thing, and I was just annoyed at the fact that a G League guy was the one that won the dunk contest, and I'm happy for him, but it's just sad that this era of players are out here so scared of competing in the dunk contest. And I guess it's maybe they're afraid to lose. I can understand a superstar in the league being afraid to lose to a G Leaguer. I get that. I understand that. But the dunk contest was never about the players. It was about the fans. It was about those kind of fantasies that fans used to have when they used to have the fantasies of Jordan Wilkins, Vince Carter, and so. Like, they used to have these fantasies about this great dunker, great player, and also a great dunker competing against another great player that is also a great dunker. But all this started with LeBron James. It started with LeBron James. He's the guy that started this whole big stars don't want to compete in all this because it's beneath them or something like that. And it's really, really sad. And people try to say, it could spoil their brand. Imagine Ja Morant coming out here to lose to Mark. What is that guy's name? I just want Mark something. Like, Steph Curry has lost 3 points scoring, 3 points contest, right? He has lost a couple. Nobody's out there saying that Steph Curry is not one of the greatest shooters of all time. So the fact that if Ja Morant goes out here and loses to this G League guy, is he really? Would anybody look at it and Ja Morant is not a good dunker? Maybe some people may say is a better in-game dunker than a stylish dunker. Fine, but that does not make him less of a player. So I just do not understand. There's just no soul. There's just no soul anymore. People just be moving all over the place. Kevin Durant is out here about to go on another quote unquote hardest road to a title. Well, maybe they don't win, but he's in a stacked team now. I mean, like, people just be moving. There is no soul. I can't imagine being. Right now, I'm not a fan of any team. I was a Kobe fan. By default, I was kind of a Lakers fan, but after Kobe left, I just couldn't, because I just don't like this whole moving. There's just no attachment to any player. The only team that has that right now, to be honest, in the NBA currently, is the Milwaukee Bucks. And I envy them because, you know, they have this guy Giannis who is humble and is not out here trying to be moving and teaming up with all these people all over the place. Man, I mean, the NBA is just a bunch of only the playoffs, like even the playoffs now is boring. Regular season, let me not even go into that one. It's ridiculous.
Moses and Lambeer, he'd gobble up boards as a power forward. He'd be an offensive mismatch against everybody as a small ball center, and his off-ball skills and passing would pair perfectly with the flow of today's game. Add in his competitive mania and 3 generations worth of medical advancements, and we're talking about a player who could have stuck around so long they would have had to rename the league. As you've been watching these clips of Bird, I would hope that you would notice something. He always knows where everybody is.
Crazy.
Watching Bird play basketball is like watching those monsters from A Quiet Place that know where you are if you make any noise at all. Bird had a level of clairvoyance that bordered on the unnatural. In '85, he ended up 1 steal away from a quadruple-double after playing just the first 3 quarters. His passing was famously infectious and helped.
Can you imagine that? Like, they didn't allow him to play the 4th quarter to at least pad the stats. Can you imagine that? Today's players are out here padding stats all over the place. Like, imagine today's player being close to a quadruple-double and will not play the 4th quarter. Who? There's nobody in the NBA right now that will do that. Nobody. Except they got injured.
Transformed the Celtics of the 80s into an ideal that basketball teams at all levels are still shown tape of. They moved the ball with precision and intent, always looking for better shots and determined to get the entire team involved in the effort. That fact is almost entirely attributable to Bird and his wizardry with the ball. This acumen also helped Bird become the only player with a GOAT claim to transition successfully into other basketball roles after his playing career. In his 3 years as the head coach of the Pacers, Bird won a Coach of the Year award, coached the Pacers to their first and only finals appearance, and gave Michael Jordan as much trouble as he'd ever gotten in his career in the '98 Eastern Conference Finals. After moving into a front office role for Indiana, he won Executive of the Year in 2012, becoming the only person to have an MVP, Coach of the Year, and Executive of the Year award. On the court or off of it, inside and out, Larry Bird sees basketball as only he can. That intelligence also lent itself to Bird's defining skill, making the big plays. Remember, NBA players get paid to win games. James Harden is getting paid nearly $40 million this year because he's supposed to help the Rockets win games. Victory can be achieved in a lot of ways, and the win column doesn't care how it happens. As Mark Sinclair once said,
"It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning."
But when your team is down 1 in a crucial playoff game with 8 seconds left, and you need to hit a shot to stay in the series and keep your season alive, that's where players really separate themselves and earn their money. Love it or hate it, it's the players that come through in the big moments that live forever in our memories. Some players, for whatever reason, were never able to do it consistently. Some players were truly outstanding at it. Larry Bird was the best at it.
Really?
I'm not going to give you the stats about his field goal shooting under 2 minutes with a score that's this close, or tell you who has the most buzzer beaters, or any of that.
Take that for data.
I'm just going to show you clutch moments in clutch situations. 1985 against the Blazers. Bird drops 48 points, including this. Down 1 with 2 seconds left.
Inbound pass, they double teaming Bird. Larry, fake, fall away. Hits it, it's the buzzer! All right!
1985 against the Hawks. Bird sets the Celtics scoring record with 60 points with shots like these.
They open the right side. Bird the fall away. He drills it again. That's the best shooting I've ever seen.
1986 against the Rockets. Not all of Bird's clutch moments were singular. The bigger the moment, the bigger his performance. In Game 6 of the 1986 NBA Finals, Bird clinches the championship with a triple-double in what he calls the best game he ever played.
Whoa.
2 seconds on the shot clock. Bird wants a 3 out of it. He gets it.
1987 against the Washington Bullets. Bird hits one shot to tie it before it's waved off because of a timeout. Hits another shot to tie it up for real.
Crowd is standing up. It goes now to Bird. Bird goes up top.
And then in double overtime, down 1, he does this.
It's going to go to Bird. He's got a shot. Get it! And it's got it. It's a 3-point field goal. And that's that. It's all over.
For 3 years, from 1986 to 1988, the three-point contest knew no other champion but Larry Bird.
still got to drop one here quickly. 14. This is a tie for the money.
Whoa.
1987 Eastern Conference Finals, Game 5. Tied at 2 games apiece against the Bad Boy Pistons, this enormous game would put the winner 1 game away from the NBA Finals. The Pistons are up 1 with seconds remaining. The ball goes out of bounds off the Celtics. Isaiah Thomas just needs to inbound the ball to win the game.
Whoa! What the hell? What? What the hell?
There are truly too many big games and big moments for me to go through without this ending up as a documentary. But that all leads me to this, what I really want to talk about. 1987 NBA Finals, Game 4 against the Lakers. LA is up 2-1, and the Celtics need to win to tie the series and stay alive. Bird hits a 3 with 12 seconds left to go up by 2.
Bird goes for 3.
Kareem comes down and gets fouled with 8 seconds left. He makes the first, but misses the second. LA ends up with the ball with 7 seconds left, down 1 point.
In the low post, being guarded by Dennis Johnson. Byron Scott is in the ball game now.
Magic hits this, the baby skyhook.
Magic with a hook shot, scores with 2.
2 seconds left, down 1.
Dennis Johnson on the inbound. Bird
Whoa.
fires it.
What do you
Damn.
think happens?
It's one thing. Oh, it didn't
I
go
bet
in.
it wasn't that.
It didn't go in.
When I paused the tape and the ball was hanging in the air, you thought it was going in.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Bird thought it was going in. Magic thought it was going in. I've seen this game before, and I still think it's going to go in. But it didn't. Pat Riley said it himself. We got lucky. And that, a missed shot in the NBA Finals, is why he's the clutchest. Because after he makes the big plays, has the big games, hits the big shots, time and time again, you expect him to hit every shot, to win every game. And in those fleeting moments when he doesn't, when he looks like a mere human, when he looks like everyone else who tries to do what he does, you just can't believe it. That's what Larry Bird did. He made the big plays so often you thought he was going to make them every time. He helped turn basketball into a global phenomenon.
I mean, that was a very nice play there by this creator. Kudos to him. Like, I actually thought that ball was going in. Seriously. I was very, very shocked. I know I'm not really adept to the history of their rivalry. Like, I know about it. I know a lot about it, but I don't really know in details, game by game and all that. So, I actually thought it was going in. Seriously. So he did very, very well there.
Paving the way for every Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, or LeBron James who comes through our lives. He played basketball in its purest form and captained a team that is consistently ranked among the greatest of all time. He has the second highest win percentage in the history of the NBA, behind Magic by less than 0.5%, about 10 games. He was the complete package, a player with no holes in his game whatsoever.
One last thing I'm going to say about this thing, like every time people always bring up, like, you know, these modern players moving here, teaming up here and doing all this and doing all this. People always bring up like the fact that Magic's team was stacked, Bird's team was stacked, which I don't even think it was that stacked. Especially Bird's team. The difference is that these players, for example now, the Warriors, before Kevin Durant joined there, I never looked at them as a stats team. They may have been a great team, they may have been a 73-win team, but they were not a stats team to me because they were drafted. They were drafted, they were developed there, and they became great there together. So, like, teams of the past used to have a situation where either they were drafted or they were traded by the front office. Now, LeBron James could just sit down now in his house. I'm like, oh, who can I play with? Okay, who can I play with? Kevin Durant. Oh, I don't want to be here anymore. Trade me here. Like, the whole thing is just so abstract and no passion, no soul in it. Like, it's so bland. It's so bland. Like, I just don't understand how anybody enjoys this shit. Seriously. Like, I still follow the NBA because it's an enjoyable league to an extent. But there's no passion. Like if I'm watching any game, I'm just watching it for the wildness of it. I can't be attached to anything. I can't even feel anything. It's ridiculous. Like it's really, I don't know. And it's going to get worse. It's looking as it's going to get worse. And to me, all this started with LeBron James. That is part of the reason why I kind of dislike him. I don't hate him as a person. I really do not. I don't know him personally, so I wouldn't hate him as a person. But I just feel like he has not, him coming into the league, he has not left the league in a better place, in my opinion.
They called him Basketball Jesus. He didn't get that name without doing something extraordinary. He saved basketball. And he did it by playing it better than anyone else. Here's Magic at Bird's retirement in 1993.
Larry Bird said that there would be another Larry Bird one day. And Larry, there will never, ever, ever be another Larry Bird. To the greatest basketball player ever, but more important, a friend forever.
Wow, what do I think about this? Like, am I convinced that it's the GOAT? Not really. However, I think it's a bit underrated at this point. And some part of me feels like part of that reason could be because he's white. I don't know. Like, I don't want to bring race into it. But you guys like talking about race in the United States too much. So I guess I'll have to bring it in. I just feel like the olden players, the players of the past don't really have the luxury of having these talk heads in the media. You know, the media, there was still media in during these people's playing days, but today you have not just legacy media, you also have people on the internet that are like fanboys. They're not really objective. They're almost like fanboys, so they can start this podcast that could blow up and all that stuff. So it's not really there's not a lot of objective people. So you just have these talking heads that are fanboys to accept different players. And I don't know. Like I said in one of my older videos, I think one of the Jordan videos or the Bird video, I just do not rate LeBron James as much as a lot of people do. Like I said, if I were someone that was learning basketball for the first time, I just didn't know how to play the game, what exactly would LeBron James be able to teach me? Seriously, what can he really teach me? What? Most of his game is drive to the basket, drive to the basket, drive to the basket. What exactly can he teach me? Nothing. Like, I'm not 6'9", I'm not 240, 250, athletic as fuck, cyborg body. So I'll probably not be able to do what LeBron James does. So he can't really teach me the game. But to me, guys like Kobe, guys like Bird, guys like Jordan, guys even Hakeem, a center, could I try to teach you some moves? So like, I don't know. That's just my opinion though. Everybody has a right to their opinion. I know any LeBron fan that's watching this will probably be offended and start personally insulting me. I don't know, but that's just my opinion. I just don't see anything really special about LeBron James outside of his natural gifts. In terms of the basketball itself, I just don't see that much. Anyway, this was a very nice video. I don't think Bird is the GOAT. I don't still think Bird is the GOAT, but I think it's underrated at this point, and I think he should be given his flowers. Enough of all this hyping all these modern players in this Swiss cheese league. See you next time.